movie, Smokey and the Bandit. He did call, we just finished wrapping Sybil. Somehow I was pulling myself around, Sheila. Yes, you said that your best kiss on screen was in Murphy's Romance with James Garner. The worst kiss I've ever had. Sally Field finally tells the shocking truth about Smokey and the Bandit after 45 years. From the bad story she almost turned down to Burt Reynolds' secret drug use. Field tells what really happened on the set of the great movie from 1977. But what really surprises people is why she wouldn't talk to Reynolds for the last 30 years of his life. Let's talk about the specifics. She was born in Pasadena, California, on November 6, 1946. Two very different places shaped her childhood. Margaret Field, Sally's mother, was an actor who worked for Paramount Pictures. She brought the glitz and glamour of Hollywood into Sally's early life. Her Army officer father, Richard Dryden Field, gave her a lot of order and strict rules. Sally became strong and robust because of this mix of glitz and order. Sally's parents split up when she was only 4 years old. She would remember that terrible event for the rest of her life. A few years after that, in 1952, her mother married stuntman and actress Jock Mahoney. But this marriage made Sally's life worse instead of better. In 2018, Sally wrote a book called In Pieces, in which she told the terrible truth. Mahoney abused her when she was a teenager. What she kept hidden for many years changed how she saw herself and the world. Even though it hurt at home, Sally found a way to get away. She and her mother spent a lot of time on movie sets where they saw the magic of Hollywood come to life. This made her want to act and tell stories even more. Sally started playing at school as a way to express herself and get away from her troubled home life. She found out she was good at acting while she was at Portola Middle School and then Birmingham High School in Van Nuys. She did more with acting than just enjoy it. It helped her deal with everything going on in her life. Sally's life changed when she went to a high school party when she was 17. Someone who works with talent agents saw her and told her to try out for an acting class at Columbia Studios. This small idea turned into the start of something much bigger. Took part in the workshop and worked tough for 8 weeks, learning how to act with other talented kids. The course was hard, but it helped her grow. At this point, she made a good impression on Marsha Levy, who was casting for a new TV show and was looking for new faces. When she performed, Sally stood out because of how charming she was and how deeply she made people feel. In 1965, Sally got her first big part when she was cast as the lead in Gidget. This TV show was about a young surfer girl in Southern California named Frances Gidget Lawrence. Even though Sally was only 18, she beat out 75 other actors for the part. Her performance was lively, which made Gidget likable and approachable, especially for teens who saw the show. The first episode aired in September 1965. The show was fun and new, but it was only on for 1 season. The last show aired in April 1966. Not long after this happened, something unexpected happened that made people think Sally's career would end before it even started. Especially among teens, the reruns of Gidget were a big hit over the summer. This sudden fame made Sally a star and showed that she could really connect with people. ABC was looking for another show for Sally to work on after Gidget. That's how she got the lead role in The Flying Nun. When this strange show started on September 7, 1967, Sally played Sister Bertrell, a young nun who could fly because she was so light and wore a big cornet. Even though the idea was strange, Sally brought heart and charm to the part, and people loved Sister Bertrell. People all over the world loved the show, which had 82 episodes over 3 seasons, but Sally was having a hard time behind the scenes. She later said that working on The Flying Nun wasn't fun for her. She even said she hated it. In the early 1970s, when she was in her mid-20s, she really wanted to play people who were grown up and complicated. But Hollywood kept giving her the same innocent, sweet parts, which made her very angry. In the 1972 movie Stay Hungry, she chose to take a big risk by not wearing a top. This shocked her friends and a lot of people in the business. The move wasn't what she had hoped it would be because it didn't show she could play different parts. People didn't see the movie very often, and it didn't change how they saw her. Field made an even riskier choice because he felt stuck. From 1973 to 1976, almost 3 years, she wouldn't take any parts on sitcoms. This could have stopped her career, but she was set on showing that she wasn't as clean as she seemed. Field joined the Actors Studio in Los Angeles at this time and trained with Lee Strasberg, who was known as the Great Teacher. She put everything she had into her training, working on her skill and going to auditions all day. That's how unhappy she was with her job that she considered stop playing. She told someone in 1976, "I was ready to work as a waitress or do anything else. I could not stand being stuck in that sweet picture for all time." She worked hard and finally got what she wanted in 1976. But the fight changed her. Field wrote in her 2018 book, In Pieces, that she had been depressed and had an eating problem during this time. She felt like she had to change herself all the time, but she wouldn't give up. Her part in Stay Hungry was one of the most important ones. The movie was about weightlifting and was directed by Bob Rafelson. Field played gym receptionist Mary Tate, who falls in love with Jeff Bridges' character Craig Blake, a rich guy. People were shocked by this role because it had a scene where Field looked partly naked. Later, she said, "I had never done anything like that before, and I wasn't sure I could," which meant she was scared to play the part because she would be naked. She hit the gym hard and ate right to get ready. She lost 10 pounds to look the part. Arnold Schwarzenegger got his first big acting part in the movie as well. He played an athlete named Joe Santo, and Field later said she admired how hard he worked, even though he wasn't very good at acting. Stay Hungry came out in April 1976, but it didn't do very well at the box office, making only $5 million. But the movie got a cult following over time, and reviewers said Field was great in it. Roger Ebert said that she was touching and open. The movie also won Schwarzenegger a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. This was the start of his work as an actor. Later that same year got the most important part of her career in the TV miniseries Sybil. Based on a real story, the story was about a woman who had dissociative identity disorder because she had been abused badly as a child. Field had to play not only Sybil but also 13 different people, which was a very difficult part. Each one had its own tone, voice, and level of feeling. Field studied the disorder for 6 months, worked with a dialect coach, and watched people in mental wards to get ready. She was very serious about the part because she knew it was her chance to show that she was a real actor. It was very hard to film Sybil. It went on for 12 weeks. Field often worked 16-hour days. In an emotional scene, she had to play out a terrible memory in which Sybil was tied to a table. Field injured her shoulder during the scene because it was so hard on her body, but she insisted on finishing the take. She gave the part everything she had because she was determined to do her best. Sybil was a huge hit when it first aired on NBC in November 1976. Many people, almost half of the people living in the US at the time, watched it. Critics said Field's act was groundbreaking and gave it high marks. In her moving awards speech, she said, "The success of Sybil changed Field's career forever." This was her first Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress. People used to think of her as a silly TV actress, but now they see her as a serious and skilled performer. Field talked about this big break in her work. "When I was cast in Smokey and the Bandit in 1977, my career took a surprising turn." She was mostly known for her parts in TV shows like Gidget and The Flying Nun before this. People didn't think of her for action flicks. Burt Reynolds, who was already a big star, told her she had to play the part. At first the company didn't agree. They were looking for a beautiful performer, but Burt told them she was the best person for the part. Making the movie began in Georgia on May 23, 1977. The budget was only $4,300,000, and it was very hot in the summer. It often gets to 35 degrees Celsius. This made it very hard to film the car rush scenes. Was 41 years old and at the top of his game, while Sally, who was 30, was eager to go from being known for her TV work to movies to prove herself. No matter how hard things were, the set was always fun and playful because Burt loved playing jokes on everyone. When it came out on May 27, 1977, the movie was a surprise hit, making over $126 million, 0 cents at the box office. It did so well that 2 more movies were made based on it. It was a big step forward for Sally and helped her move from TV to movies. It was also the start of a friendship between Bert and Sally that would become very important to both of them. From the start, it was clear that Sally and Bert were meant to be together. Later, in her autobiography, In Pieces, Sally wrote that they felt a bond right away. She said that they had only known each other for 3 or 4 days, but it felt like they had known each other for years. That they hit it off right away made their friendship on screen feel real, which was a big part of the movie's success. As soon as they started to like each other, they started dating. A lot of Sally was drawn to Bert's confidence and charm. Sally was 11 years younger than Bert, who was known for having strong good looks and a magnetic personality. The team saw how strong their bond was because they often spent time together between takes. Someone who worked with Bert once said, "You can cut the tension with a knife." It was like seeing two teens in love. Even though they were very excited and passionate about each other at first, problems started to show up quickly. Bert was used to being the center of attention, so it was hard for him when Sally became more well-known. A lot of people wanted Sally's name more than Bert's at a movie event, and Bert looked angry. This was just a taste of the problems they would face together as their friendship grew. Later, Sally said it was intense, but also hard to understand. She said there was care and love, but also a lot of hurt. Bert's controlling behavior was one of the main problems. She wrote in her autobiography, "As soon as I walked through the door, it was a way to control me." Bert often tried to tell her what to do with her life and work, which was very stressful. Now let's talk about how Sally Field's life changed when she played Norma Ray in 1979. At first, the part wasn't meant for her. Stars like Jane Fonda were thought about. But Sally did everything she could when she had the chance. She worked for weeks in a real textile mill in Alabama to get ready. She was interested in what life was like for people from the working class. She wasn't afraid on set. You may remember the famous scene where she stands on a table carrying a Union sign. She even did her own stunts. Sally had to do that scene over and over again until it was perfect. It was shot in a noisy hot mill. A lot of people liked the show. Back then, making $22 million 0 cents was a lot of money. The critics really liked Sally's act. People said that she made her character tough but also weak, which made them feel very real. A lot of big awards went to Sally for her work. In 1980, she won her first Oscar for Best Actress. She thanked the real woman whose life her character was based on and the director of the movie during her speech. Everyone saw that Sally was more than just a TV star at that moment. In dramatic parts, she was good at what she did. It was shown at the Cannes Film Festival in France that same year. Sally was both happy and scared. Francis Ford Coppola, who was there with Apocalypse Now, was a big name she wasn't used to being around. She even did some funny things wrong, like bringing the wrong clothes for the cool weather. She had to use the blanket from her hotel to keep warm. Sally was scared in the theater when her movie played at the festival. At first, there was quiet when the movie was over, which made her think that people didn't. After that, they stood up and cheered for 10 minutes. Sally was too much to handle. She won the Best Actress award at Cannes a few days after that. It was a big deal because it showed everyone how talented she was. Her friendship with Burt Reynolds started to fall apart as her career took off. They had been together since 1976, but Burt didn't seem pleased with Sally's success. He was there for her at first, but when she started winning awards and getting more attention, he pulled away and was jealous. He was rude when she told him she was going to Cannes and said she wouldn't win anything. As time went on and more awards were given to her, Burt behaved worse. He would pout or say mean things, and Sally could tell that their bond was weakening. Before the 1980 Oscars, things got really bad. Sally was up for Best Actress, but Burt wouldn't go with her. He made fun of her by telling a magazine that Hollywood didn't care about real acting. Even though Sally was hurt, she didn't give up. David and Judy Steinberg, her friends, offered to drive her to the event. They picked her up in a car with champagne, which made the night fun. Sally smiled and told the reporters on the red carpet that Burt had to go somewhere else right away. She won the Oscar that night. She was so happy as she thanked everyone who helped her with the movie on stage. She didn't say anything about Burt. Their relationship had changed a lot since he wasn't there. They stayed together for a few more years, but things were never the same. They were no longer close because of Sally's success, which couldn't be fixed. When Sally Field won her second Oscar for Places in the Heart in 1984, it was a big moment in her career. It was only 5 years after her first Oscar, which she won for Norma Rae in 1979. It showed that she was one of Hollywood's best actresses. Edna Spaulding was played by Sally in the movie. After her husband died, she moved to Texas in 1935 and tried to save her farm and take care of her family during the Great Depression. She didn't want the part at first. This was turned down 3 times because she felt it was too much like her role in Norma Rae. They tried again, but director Robert Benton wouldn't give up. He went to her house and talked to her for hours about the part. Sally got ready by living in Texas with a family. She learned how to kill birds, pick cotton, and milk cows. Everything she worked for paid off, and everyone loved how she did. Also, her Oscar speech became well known. She told him, "You can't deny that you like me right now. Lots of people get this wrong. You like me means you really like me." This line was her answer to people who said her first Oscar win was just a stroke of luck. The moment became well known and people still talk about it. Sally then showed that she could play many different parts. She was in 2 very different movies, Still Magnolias 1989 and Mrs. Doubtfire 1993. She played Malin in Still Magnolias, a mother who was sad about the death of her daughter Shelby. A lot of people think that the scene at her funeral was one of her best on TV. There were some big names in the movie, like Dolly Parton and Julia Roberts. It also made a lot of money. It's interesting that Sally wasn't the first person who was considered for the part. People like Meg Ryan and Deborah Winger were first given the part, but they turned it down. Sally and Robin Williams played a dad who pretends to be a nanny to see his kids in the comedy Mrs. Doubtfire. Miranda, the mom, was played by Sally. She didn't want the part at first because she thought Robin's sense of fun would make her look less important. But the director told her they could make things up as they went along, so she agreed. It was by chance that the movie had a funny moment. Robin's fake nose got stuck on her shoe when she stepped on it. It made over $441 million, 0 cents, which is a lot of money. As Sally grew up, she played more grown-up parts. Forrest Gump, which came out in 1994, she played Mrs. Gump, Tom Hanks's mom. Even though Sally was only 10 years older than Tom in real life, she looked like she was older with the right makeup and clothes. For some shots, it took hours in the makeup chair to make her look older. She was up for a Screen Actors Guild Award because of how well she did her job. She was in the movie Where the Heart Is with Natalie Portman in 2000. Sally played a mother figure in this movie for a younger group of players. She became Natalie's guide behind the scenes and helped her learn how to handle being in the spotlight. Then, in 2002, Sally did Broadway, which shocked everyone. She played the lead role in The Goat, or Who is Sylvia, a play with scary and dark themes. Her show showed she could do more than just movies and TV, as people loved it. In the 2000s, Sally didn't slow down. She became well known again when she played Nora Walker on the TV show Brothers and Sisters. Even though the show didn't start until September 24, 2006, Betty Buckley played Nora at first. The directors gave the part to Sally because they thought it needed something different. This was a great move because she made Nora come to life in a way that made people love her. Nora found out that her husband had been cheating on her after he died. She also had to deal with the issues of her grown children. The show had 109 episodes over 5 seasons, and Sally showed how skilled she is by making Nora's story of loss, finding herself, and growing seem very real. For her role, Sally won an Emmy in 2007.